Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa. Here we go. The deal is done. It is confirmed. Matias Tel signing as a potential replacement. Malaia to Benfica looks set to be off, and what is happening with Casemiro. These are some of the topics we will be discussing on this morning's live show. I am your host, Kieran. Before we get into today's video, please do me a small favour. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're just about to hit 41,000 subscribers, only 2 away. So make sure you do that. And be sure to like the video as well. Let's try and see 500 likes on today's show. Now, the question I've got for you this morning is about this Marcus Rashford deal. How are you feeling today, knowing that Marcus Rashford is leaving Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Are you feeling happy, sad, disappointed? I'd love to know what the Man United fan base think about this deal. So we'll start off there. We'll start off with the big breaking news that literally just dropped 2 minutes ago this morning on Sunday, the 2nd of February. This is coming out from the man himself, Mr. Fabrizio Romano. He is reporting Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa is a here we go. He says that Aston Villa will cover 70% of Marcus's salary, which is amazing. And he says there will also be a buy option in the summer for £40 million. He says the medical will take place today on Sunday. I'm happy about this. I think it's the right decision. I think the fact that we're getting 70% of his salary as well, that's a very good deal for Manchester United. Remember, Rashford is on £325,000 per week, which means that Aston Villa will give us £230 a week, which is great. That gives us the money to go and get Matias Tel. Maybe even gives us the money to go and do another last-minute deal, a last-minute loan. So I'm really, really happy with this deal. And I think if we get 40 million for him in the summer, I would take that, to be honest. I mean, some people are going to say, oh, maybe it's a little bit too low. But I think in the grand scheme of things, Rashford at Manchester United, the story is over. It's not going to work anymore. He doesn't seem happy here. There's obviously stuff going on off the pitch that we don't know the full story about. And I think if we can get 40 million straight profit, that opens up so many doors for us in the summer. So overall, I'm happy about this. I'm glad that he's not a Manchester United player anymore. I think it's the best situation for everybody. On a human level, Rashford leaving Manchester United was the right decision. And from a Manchester United's fan perspective, you can't have a player who's walking around the pitch not putting in effort. That just can't happen. And I honestly think that he'll go to Aston Villa and we'll see a different Marcus Rashford, because he'll go there and he's got to prove himself again. You know, whereas at Manchester United, he was the poster boy. He was the kid from the academy. He's everywhere. His face was plastered all over Manchester United's branding and marketing. Whereas at Aston Villa, he's going to go in as somebody who needs to actually fight for his place to get into the squad. So I think this is a great deal all round. I'm very, very happy with this. Very happy. I know some people are going to be upset about it. I can see somebody in the chat saying he's very angry. Why would we sell our youth players to Aston Villa? We're selling our youth player to Aston Villa because for the last 2 years, Marcus Rashford has walked around the pitch not putting in effort whilst collecting 325 grand a week. Marcus Rashford's ability has never been in question. He's definitely a talented footballer. But for the last 2 or 3 years, he doesn't care. He doesn't seem interested. There's clearly stuff going on off the pitch. As I've said to you many, many times before, his head isn't in the right place. And I think him going somewhere new, having a fresh start is the best thing for everybody. So I think this is a great deal. And I don't really have any hard feelings towards Rashford, to be honest. I think there'll be a lot that comes out in the coming weeks and months about what's really happened. And I'm not blaming this on Ruben Amorim. I just think that there is stuff going on off the pitch that we don't know about. Obviously, we know a year or so ago, he broke up with his fiancée that he'd been with since he was since he was a teenager. You know, there's all these things. So maybe he just needed change, needed to be somewhere else. And I know people will say, oh, that's no excuse. You know, we've all broken up with girlfriends. We still have to go to work. I get it, but everybody's different. Everybody's human. And the point I'm making here is there's never an excuse not to put in 100% for Manchester United, right? But there was obviously something going on in his life, which has meant that he's not been able to give his full potential. And I think that him going to Aston Villa is a new, fresh chance for him. There is always the potential that he goes to Aston Villa and is awful and then is back at Man United in the summer, remember. I know this feels like a positive moment, but we have to be realistic. The two options are this. Either he goes to Aston Villa, he does well, and they buy him for 40 million in the summer, or he goes to Aston Villa, he doesn't do well, and he's back at Manchester United in the summer. That's obviously a possibility, but I'm keeping my fingers and toes crossed that this is the last kind of we see of Marcus Rashford and that he goes to Villa and that's kind of the end of it. That has to be the hope here. But with them paying 70% of the salary, I'm I don't see a problem with this whatsoever. And, him doing his medical today, this now allows us to go and sign Matias Tel, who we'll talk about in a minute. But as I said, I want you to let me know in the comment section, how do you feel this morning? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry? How do you feel? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on Marcus Rashford, who is now officially a here we go to Aston Villa. We broke this story last night a little bit early because I had been told by somebody that the deal was done. So I went a little bit early with the story yesterday, but Fabrizio has confirmed this morning it is a here we go. And he is set to join. He's set to join Aston Villa today. So yeah, really, really happy. I'm just having a little look at how much longer he's got left on his contract quickly. Is it 3 years? Because the amount of money we're going to save from getting rid of him is honestly astronomical. Obviously, they're going to give us 70% of his salary for the rest of the season, which will be until June? Let's have a look. When does the Premier League season end? It's May, isn't it? When does the Premier League season end? I'm just trying to work out how much money we're actually going to make from this deal. So it ends on the 19th of May. So we do how many weeks until the 19th of May? So we've got 15 weeks, right? I always like to work out the calculations. I think it's important to really understand how much money we're making from deals. So he's on 325 grand a week at the moment. Fabrizio's confirmed that Aston Villa will cover 70% of his salary. 70% of his salary equals 227,500 per week, right? And there is exactly 15 weeks and 1 day until the end of the season. So we will make, it's about £3.5 million we'll get from sending Rashford to Aston Villa. That's just wages. And then apparently there is also a loan fee of somewhere around £5 to £10 million. So we're doing quite well from this deal. And effectively, it will allow us to go and get Matias Tel now, because Matias Tel's wages at Bayern are only at the moment 80,000 a week. So if you do the same maths, say we pay all of Matias Tel's wages, right? So 80,000 times 15 weeks left in the season. For us to loan Matias Tel until May, which is the end of the season, would cost us £1.2 million. For us to loan loan Marcus Rashford to Aston Villa will make us £3.5 million. So can you see the maths there? We let Rashford go, we get £3.5 million in wages alone. We sign Matias Tel and it will cost us 1.2 million in wages. So we'll actually be 2.3 million better off. So I think we should actually now be looking to sign somebody else as well. It should be Patrick Dorgu. It should be Matias Tel. Obviously, we've signed Aidan Heaven as well, who's going to go straight into the first team. Apparently, that's quite exciting. But I think we should be looking for another attacking player, personally. And if it was me, right, and this, I'd be interested to see what you guys think about this. I'd be going for Joao Felix. I think he's exactly the profile player we need. He's somebody who's not getting game time. He's somebody who we know Manchester United were interested in previously. Obviously, he's got the Portuguese links as well. And I think he would be perfect as a loan deal until the end of the summer. So ones to watch between now and tomorrow is Matias Tel. I think Matias Tel to Manchester United is almost a given now. And the other one is Joao Felix. I can see a deal happening here. So keep your eyes on those two deals. Manchester United now do have the money to do them. But yeah, let's jump over to Matias Tel then quickly, shall we? Obviously, we spoke about Rashford. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour, we've got over 500 people watching the show live today. Please drop a like. Let's try and see 500 likes on this episode. And make sure you subscribe as well. We're literally 2 subscribers away from 41,000. So I want to hit 41,000 today. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. If you've got another YouTube account that you don't use, go and subscribe. Let's try and get to the 41,000 as the next big milestone. But yeah, let's move on to Matias Tel then, shall we? So the latest on Matias Tel is obviously that he's rejected Tottenham, as we all know. And he apparently wants to join Manchester United. He said yes to Manchester United, and Bayern Munich and Manchester United are now just negotiating the deal. Apparently Bayern Munich want a buy clause in there, which I don't have a massive problem with, because if we're going to sell Rashford in the summer for £40 million, I would just say to Bayern, we'll do a loan until the summer and we'll give you £40 million in the summer, which is 50 million euros. And I think Bayern would accept that. So it would be Rashford leaving, 28 years of age, not performing, bringing in a 19-year-old in Matias Tel, who's at the beginning of his career, very talented, very hungry. There are lots and lots of reports coming out suggesting that Matias Tel has the perfect work rate. He's, a pleasure to work with. He gives 100% every single game. He's amazing off the training pitch. Apparently, he learnt German within the space of about 6 months after moving to Bayern. He just seems like a model professional. So I think he'd be the perfect fit for Manchester United. And obviously, he fits the age profile of how we're trying to build our squad. Have a little think about this now for a second, right? So you've got Patrick Dorgu, who is, I think, 20. 20 years of age. You'd have Matias Tel, who's 19. You'd have Garnacho, who's 20. You'd have Mainu, who's 19. You'd have Ahmad, who's 21. Toby Collier, 21. Aidan Heaven, 18. Chido Obi Martin, 17. We're starting to form the future here, which I really, really like, and I will give Ineos some credit for. They are trying to assemble a team of young, hungry players. You can see that Ahmad's hungry, Garnacho's hungry, Mainu's hungry, Collier's hungry. Who else have we got who's young? Toby Collier, obviously this Aidan Heaven guy is Chido Obi Martin. All of these young players we're bringing through have the right attitude, and they're all players that we can develop and we can bring to the very, very top, I think. So I'm actually really excited about this. I think the days are long gone of us signing people like Radamel Falcao, Edison Cavani, Ibrahimovic. Obviously, those were great memories, and it was amazing to see players like Ibrahimovic wear the Man United shirt. But signing Ibrahimovic in his mid-30s is not really planning for the future, is it? Whereas signing Matias Tel, who is at the very beginning of his career, really, but is still a very talented player, is exactly the kind of deal that Manchester United should be looking at. So I'm really excited about this one. I think if someone said to me at the beginning of the window that you'd sign Patrick Dorgu, Matias Tel, a young 18-year-old from Arsenal and Aidan Heaven, and Rashford, Anthony, and somebody else has left, haven't they? Who else has gone? I can't remember. Rashford and Anthony have definitely gone. I think that's it for now. I'd be really happy with that window, and I would have been surprised because usually in January we don't really do very much. We've got a super chat coming in from Carl. I hope you're doing well, mate. Carl says, Rashford gone is the end of a bad era, hopefully. Thank you very much for your super chat, mate. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to react to your super chat. I don't think that we can put all of our blame on Rashford. I think that's a little bit harsh, but hopefully it is a turning point just generally. Hopefully now things start to get better, but I'm not going to say they're going to get better just because Rashford has left. I think that's a little bit harsh. What I will say is this, though. Ruben Amorim and Manchester United are putting a marker in the ground here, because they're saying if you come to Manchester United, no matter how talented you are, if you don't put in 100%, you're out. So when you say, I hope things change from here, I agree with you in the sense that I hope things change from here, that players realise that they can't just come to Manchester United to earn big money and not perform. Because up to this point, it was allowed under Ten Hag. It was allowed under Ollie. Ollie was the one who breeded this kind of mentality of complacentness, yeah? Whereas I think Ruben Amorim has come in here and he's like, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you're on. I don't care if you're a Manchester-born lad. If you don't put in 100%, you're out. And that's what we need to aspire to going forward. We need to change our beliefs. We need to change our expectations of players. And we need to scout and recruit in a better and more effective way. And I think, as I said, the players that we've been linked to this window, the Patrick Dorgus, the Kenders from Sporting Lisbon, all of these players that we're looking to sign are players with the right attitude, the right mentality, the right age profile, and have something to prove. That's the big turning point here for Manchester United. Because at the moment, it's a case of, well, to this point, we've brought in overpaid superstars who come to Manchester United for a paycheck. They either just become injured every game and never play. You know, you think of people like Mason Mount, or they come to Manchester United, they get their paycheck, and they're here to retire. Think Casemiro, think Varane. As much as I love Varane, he came here as retirement, didn't he? Varane's retired now. The last club Varane played for was Manchester United. He went to Como, got injured again, and then quit football. So until this point, we have been a team that were known for bringing in big name players, Ibrahimovic, Cavani, Falcao, those types of names, Varane, Casemiro, give them massive wages and set ourselves backwards. So I'm excited. I think I forgot Lenny Yoro as well, didn't I, when I was listing the young players. So I'm excited about the future. I think this is all really, really positive. But as I said, I'm not going to pin this all on Rashford. We're not in the position we are because of Rashford. He's just part of why we are where we are, because we've allowed players like this to be here for a long time, not performing, and given them massive contracts. Luke Shaw's another one. Luke Shaw, injured 40, 50 games a season, and we give him a new 200 grand a week contract last season, you know? So, yeah. But thank you for the super chat, mate. I really, really appreciate it. Right, let's see what else people are saying in the chat this morning. I see a few people saying that there's some other off-the-field issues with Rashford that we don't all know about. I've said this for months and months and months. It's clear to me to see that there's stuff going on off the pitch with Rashford that hasn't been put into the public domain yet. It's so obvious. But at the moment, it's all speculation. And I will say this on a human level. I've always said for Marcus Rashford, I know on a human level, looking at him, looking at his body language, looking at the way he walks around, looking at how unhappy he looks, that he's obviously going through some really, really tough stuff. And I hope that we find out what that is at some point, and I hope that it helps us understand, because at the moment, there's a lot of hate towards Rashford, and I'm never going to hate on a player. I think it's time for him to leave. I think it's the end of his career at Manchester United. But on a human level, I wish him all the best. I hope he's okay. Because at the end of the day, football is just a sport. They're kicking a bag of air around a pitch for 90 minutes. You know, these people are humans. They have feelings. And I know some people will be like, oh, you're being soft. But that is the reality of it, you know? Football isn't everything. I know for some people, football is, you know, life and you love it and you live and breathe it. But at the end of the day, it is just kicking a bag of air around a pitch for 90 minutes, you know? And if Rashford has things going on off the pitch, which there are murmurs that he does, obviously we're not going to speculate, because what's the point in doing that until we know for sure? Then you have to kind of... I'm not saying that makes what he's done is okay, but anyway, you know what I mean. Cheryl says, why don't we play Kone and Ugarte? Yeah, I forgot we've got Kone as well. He's another good young player. The future does look bright when you look at our young players coming through, and I'm excited about it. But obviously, we have to be patient. You know, some of these players won't be ready for first-team football yet, so we can't be expecting, you know, all of these types of things to happen immediately. But let's move on from that, though, and let's jump on over to Malaia, shall we? So we've gone from really, really positive news to some bad news. So the bad news this morning is that apparently Malaia to Benfica is off. This is coming out from Fabrizio Romano this morning. He says Tyrell Malacia's loan move to Benfica has now collapsed. He says there is no agreement on the loan fee or the buy option either. So that's not going to happen. But then Sky Sports are also reporting this morning that Malaia could still leave Manchester United before the deadline, despite the deal with Benfica breaking down. So that's one to keep an eye on. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get something over the line for Malaia, because, again, I mean, he tries hard. I just don't think he's very good, to be honest. You know, he's very average, in my opinion, Malaia. Even before his injury, I didn't think he was very good. But, yeah, I'm not really a fan, to be honest, of Malaia, and I think he needs to be moved on. So hopefully that one happens. But yeah, let's move on from that, though. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Malaia, because there is some more breaking news coming out in the last couple of minutes. This comes from Chris Wheeler, who is a journalist here in the UK for the Daily Mail, and he is reporting that Manchester United are still attempting to sign Christopher Nkunku in the final days of the window, although Christopher Nkunku prefers a permanent move. How does everyone feel about that? Christopher Nkunku. Would you sign Christopher Nkunku? Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I would. I like Christopher Nkunku. I would. I think he's a decent player. I think on loan he'd be a really, really good signing till the end of the season. And his injury record this season hasn't actually been that bad. I know the last couple of years he's been really poor, but I think it would be worth taking a bit of a risk on Christopher Nkunku until at least the summer, especially this late in the window. You know, we've got, 24 hours left of the window, so we can't be particularly picky. Obviously, Patrick Dorgu, medical past. Aiden Heaven, signed from Arsenal. Matias Tel, hopefully next. If we got Matias Tel, Christopher Nkunku, Aiden Heaven and Patrick Dorgu, I think that would be a good window. And I think that would give us a massive chance of winning the Europa League and maybe winning the FA Cup as well. And maybe even cementing a top 7 finish. Because remember, in the Premier League this season, and maybe this is me getting a bit excited, but I think it's 5th place gets Champions League football. And quite a few teams lost yesterday who are ahead of us. We have to beat Crystal Palace today, and then we can start having this conversation. But Newcastle lost yesterday. Aston Villa lost yesterday. If we win our game today, we would only be 4 points off Aston Villa. So Yeah, but I mean, it's not going to be an easy game against Crystal Palace. Although obviously Eze is apparently injured and won't play, so that makes it a little bit easier. If we win today, we'd go up to 32 points, which would make us be 1 point off 10th place. So we are climbing the table a little bit. We are getting further and further away from the relegation zone, which is which is nice, isn't it? So yeah, I'd give Christopher Nkunku a try until the summer. I wouldn't buy him now, personally. I think it's too much of a risk with his injury record, but I'd give him a loan deal until the end of the summer. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that one progresses. Right, let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Let's have a little look. Lots of people are saying that they wouldn't get Nkunku because he's injury prone. I hear you. But as I said, a loan until the summer is relatively risk free. I wouldn't buy him on a permanent deal. Definitely not. So yeah, that's my take on that. Okay, what else have we got? I think that's probably it for today's show. Obviously, the big breaking news was the Rashford story. So I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you very much. I will go live after the Crystal Palace game. We've got 750 people watching live now, which is absolutely incredible. We've tried to set a likes target of 500. So if you want to support the channel before you leave, like the video. It will take you a quarter of a second and it would massively help me out. So please do that before you leave. Don't forget, once the video goes live, to get in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on Rashford leaving Manchester United. How do you feel? And if you are watching for the first time today, also make sure to subscribe. We're 1 subscriber away from 41k. So go and do that right now. Let's get to 41k. I'll be back live at... What time's the game finish? I'll be back live about 4 o'clock today with a match reaction. Thank you very much. Have a lovely Sunday, everybody. And I'll speak to you all a bit later. Bye for now.